This may be a bit controversial from me, a famous language learning YouTuber. My mindset to learning languages has completely changed, and I'm going to explain why that's happened and what's going to happen from now on. But first, especially if you're new, let me tell you my language learning story, as that's something I've never actually shown on this. I started learning Spanish at a very young age with an after-school club, and I then continued with Spanish throughout my whole schooling career, whatever. It wasn't really a career, but my whole schooling life I continued with Spanish even through to A level, and I succeeded throughout. I'd say there was a little bit of a dip early on when I first got to secondary school with Spanish, and then especially in A level I really picked my game up as I actually learned how to learn languages and how to do it independently. I'd say the grade I got from Spanish in A level was mainly due to the independent work I put in outside the classroom, my own method, and that's the method I've used in other languages that I've learned since. However, something I've never brought up in this channel before is around year 11, so about the age of 15, 16, in the time of COVID, I decided to learn a bit of Russian.
Хорошо, здравствуйте, как дела, доброе утро. И да, так, я немного понимаю по-русски, и я немного говорю по-русски. Не очень хорошо, но я говорю.
Well, I tried to learn a bit of Russian. It was my first time teaching myself a language. Of course, I didn't stick consistently with it. I didn't really know what I was doing. I think I probably did it for about a month, and that was it. And then the whole idea of language learning never really happened again until I really got back into it, as I said, with A level, and then that's where it clicked. My Spanish grades throughout A level shot up in my final year as I started to implement these methods. Watching news, getting as much immersion as I could possible, writing down Anki review, all the stuff I've, named in videos. That's the stuff I did to get better at Spanish. And school grading wasn't the only reason why I was doing it. I genuinely had an interest in learning the language and getting better at it, which is probably why I spent so much time studying it and trying to get better and better at the language, because I was very highly interested in having conversations with natives and everything like this, which is not something you're really tested on when you come to the exam. Your speaking exam is pretty much premeditated. And then after this, the birth of my language learning journey really begins, as soon as A level ended, and I talk about this in my Croatian video, which you should go and check out. I start to learn Croatian as I go to Croatia, and it was really good fun, and I still have that. I mean, I don't speak Croatian fluently. I'm nowhere near fluent speaking Croatian. I studied for a month. I studied probably the hardest I ever could at a language, and I learned really, really fast, especially for a tough, especially pronunciation of Croatian is really difficult. And whenever I meet someone who's from, Serbian, Bosnian, Montenegrin, or Croatian, then obviously I can speak to them a bit, and they're like, well, how do you speak it? And I'm like, well, And then the same idea of Italian. I studied that for 3 months before going to Italy. Of course, having a background in Spanish really helped out with that, and that was really, really good fun. And so, even though Spanish and English are my main, and I want to get my Spanish really, really good, I have the hope of moving there, hopefully in like a university abroad thing, but if that doesn't happen, then I'll try and get there at some point in my life to live there for a bit. And then I can speak Croatian and Italian, but they're not fluent. So that's the journey up to what you know. However, I have done something recently which none of you know. I tried to study Chinese Mandarin, not so much the characters, and I did it successfully. I've done it for the past month or so, maybe less. However, throughout the whole process of learning Chinese, there was no purpose behind it. There was all because I'd learnt languages before. It's like, oh, let's go Chinese next. Although I have no purpose to move into China, I have no trip to China coming up soon. I don't know anyone or very few people that speak Chinese, and I don't really have a motivation to speak to them in their language. Yes, it would be cool to speak Chinese, but am I really willing to go through all the effort of learning it, just for it not to be used in the end? That's the question I asked myself, and I went, no. And now I'm not learning any languages at all. And when I say my mindset has changed, this is it. Right now, there's no need for me to learn any languages, so I'm not learning any. For me, and for so many of you, we have busy lives, we have other things going on, and I think if you want to get into language learning, then there should be a purpose behind it. Now, I completely respect the people who are dedicated, like, you know, the really inspirational figures in the language learning world who speak 20 languages, and that is their goal in life. That is what they spend their days doing, learning languages, and that is an amazing task. But for me, I have other interests. I have football, jiu-jitsu, fitness, my studies. All this goes alongside languages, so language learning should be only languages that are going to benefit me in the future, ones I know I'm going to use in the future. Croatian, why do I learn Croatian? Holiday. Italian, why do I learn Italian? Holiday. Spanish, why do I learn Spanish? Well, once again, it's something that I've learned from my whole life. I know I'm going to use it in the future. I want to live there for a bit. You know, I want to, hopefully I can study there. So here's my mindset change to languages. I have, personally, for me, I've developed a really good method of what I believe is a really good method for learning languages. And if you are into learning languages and you have a reason behind learning your language, then you should definitely follow it. However, I'm not going to try and chase this whole idea of, oh, polyglot, I can speak 17 languages and I'm only 23 years old, all of this stuff. I'm just going to learn the languages when I need to. That is my mindset change. If I've got a holiday coming up to, I can't think of a country, Poland. I've got a holiday coming up to Poland in 6 months, which I don't, but if I do, let's learn Polish for the fun of it. So I can go there, speak it, and that's what it should be for. There should be a reason behind it, because at the end of the day, life is too short to be doing things that have no purpose behind them. And if you're learning a language just to impress other people, without it actually benefiting yourself, benefiting your future, or having any sort of fun behind it, then I wouldn't do it. Because even though Chinese was never going to benefit me, if I was really enjoying learning it, then sure. And if that's the same for you, if you really enjoy learning a language, if there's no purpose behind it, but you're really enjoying it, carry on. But if you're not enjoying it and there's no purpose behind it, and you know you're not going to live in the country, you're probably not going to use it, you're just learning it because you want to stay disciplined, or you want to say to people, oh, I can speak 6 languages, and mate, there's no point, because people aren't going to care, and there's no point wasting that much time just to learn something you're not going to use. So this brings me on to my next point. The channel is going to be changing, not completely, still going to be doing language learning videos, still going to be documenting the languages I learn, language learning methods, stuff like this, or how I use languages in travels or whatever. Those videos will only be made when I'm actually doing it, because it is still a big interest in my life, still something I really enjoy doing, only when there's a purpose behind it. I've said this already, shut up. I want to bring the other things, football, jiu-jitsu, fitness, self-improvement, all in. I want to bring them all in. So yeah, that's the little announcement I wanted to make. From this point onwards, there will still be videos about everything, and if you're interested in self-improvement, languages, football, jiu-jitsu, whatever, general mindset, come along, subscribe, like the videos, support the channel, give your opinions in the comments, have discussions. There's been some people commenting more regularly on videos, which I really appreciate. Have conversations with each other, speak about all these sort of different topics. That's the sort of community I want to create here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week for another absolutely groundbreaking video. See ya.